The heyday, so to speak, of serial murder was in the 70s and 80s. We had far more serial killers back then than we do now. And evidence of that is the fact that when we see documentaries and movies about serial killers, they focus on Bundy and Gacy and the legacy killers of the past. There's really no high profile.
Okay, John, go ahead. What I tell you is what I know is fact.
I'm a power person. I enjoy power. Nobody else had the guts to pull off what I pulled off. I outsmarted you again.
Police today found 6 more bodies
under the home of suspected killer John Gacy.
Well, you can be walking down the street, and if Gacy lay eyes on you, you have now become his next victim.
I know society will never be able to forgive me. I know the families of the victims will never be able to forgive me for what I have done. Your Honor, it is over now.
Welcome all you true crime lovers. Sit back, grab that blanket and hot beverage, and prepare for another Saturday night of The Murder Show. Whose mind and story will we dive into tonight? Now for your host, Tim, and alongside him, his co-host, Criminology, Chris, and Classroom Jackie.
You learn what you need to kill and take care of the details. It's like changing a tire. The first time you're careful, by the 30th time, you can't remember where you left the lug wrench. Those are the words of Ted Bundy.
Alrighty, welcome in everybody. Another Saturday evening here on the Murder Podcast Show. I'm your host, Tim. Alongside of me, we have my co-host, Criminology, Chris.
I'm louder tonight.
Yeah, that's all he had to say. And we didn't think the director of social media, Classroom Jackie, was going to be here tonight, but Chris drug her in and said, you're in this show tonight. So alongside of my co-host is the director of our social media platforms, Classroom Jackie.
What's up, guys?
Well, hello there. Unsafe Snuggie jumping in the chat.
Whoop, whoop.
With the wrenches moderator.
Yeah.
That's what
She's praying.
she's praised.
Praise.
Yeah, she said, thank God I don't have to listen to these two dipshits talk.
Yeah, I'm here today. I'll do this.
Welcome in. So we didn't really post at all this week who we're going to be covering tonight, but
Unfortunately, your social media operator was out of state for work.
yes, so we are covering a very notorious serial killer tonight, the infamous Ted Bundy. That's right. He was crazy. Hello there, Lack of Daisy. Welcome into the chat. And might help if I made my phone not loud. But anyways, welcome in tonight. Quite a pretty big week as far as we got our products in from our sponsors here, and we're able to try some of them. So let me, shit, I'm never ready. I swear, as much as I try to okay. So anyways, our sponsors, always we have Crafty Corner by Laura. Laura makes all handmade crochet items, jewelry, plushies, and more. You can check them out on Instagram at Crafty Corner by Laura and on Etsy. You can also email them at thecraftycornercrochet@gmail.com. And I'll say it again this week. I was told by somebody that she can crochet an item for you faster than Bill Cosby can prepare a cup of pudding for a guy. So that's right. I went there again. Also, Chris and I are drinking it tonight. We have Dubby Energy Drink. That's right. I got their famous cup here and the orange flavor. I forget exactly the name. So far, this stuff is great. Chris said he can feel it kicking in. It gives you that boost, focus that you need. And what I like about it is it doesn't give you jitters and that hard crash, which is great too. And if you head over to dubby.gg, dubb.gg, when you purchase any of their products, be sure to use the promo code MurderShow66 at checkout and you'll receive 10% off. And then another one that we have tried, and actually Classroom Jackie's having some of hers right now, Dochi snacking cookie dough. This stuff is amazing.
This WTF fudge brownie is phenomenal. I've almost ate half the jar.
Yes, this stuff is gluten-free.
And it's filled with protein.
Yes, protein, plant-based. And it's great. You can either bake it or you can eat it straight out of the jar. So we got a variety pack here, but they have some various flavors from chocolate chip, WTF fudge brownie, basic bitch, and peppermint battle. And when you go to their website, it's doichifoods.com. It's DOICH foods.com. Be sure to use the discount code MurderShow66 and you'll receive $5 off of your order.
And let me tell you, like, I'm not a fan of anything that's really plant-based because it always has that weird aftertaste. This does not have any aftertaste. It just tastes like a cookie.
Yeah, this stuff is super good. So we definitely recommend that. Anyways, we'll go ahead and jump into Mr. Bundy here, and I will start things off here. Ted was born November 24th, 1946 in Burlington, Vermont to Eleanor Louise Cowell at the Elizabeth Lund Home for Unwed Mothers. His father's identity has never been confirmed, and on the birth certificate, it was actually assigned paternity to a salesman and United States Air Force veteran named Lloyd Marshall. For the first few years of Ted's life, he lived in Roxborough, a neighborhood in Philadelphia, which I've been to Philly, but I've never been to that, neighborhood before. For anybody that may not know, and I'm sure a lot of you do, but Ted Bundy was an American serial killer and rapist, one of the most notorious criminals of the late 20th century. Bundy actually confessed to 30 murders, but some believe that he killed, hundreds.
Oh yeah, it's a lot still. And even though he was born in that home for unwed mothers, he was raised by his grandparents and told to believe that his mother was his sister because they were religious, and her having a child at 22 and being unread was sacrilegious and scandalous.
Really?
Mhm.
Okay. Well, yeah, he's got a crazy childhood. I mean, just right out from the start there, right from the gate, never been confirmed who his dad is. And I mean, paternity to a salesman and Air Force veteran, which I'm sure his mom knows the real story
Well,
there.
He was eventually adopted. His mom met a man named Johnny Bundy. So eventually he was adopted. They ended up having 7 children at the time.
Damn. That's a lot of kids. A lot of diapers.
That's a lot of kids.
Yeah, that's a lot of kids, a lot of poop. But anyways, Bundy did have a very difficult childhood. He had a strange relationship with his stepfather, and his shyness made him a frequent target of bullying. What happened over there?
So you were saying he had a strange childhood. Bundy was already displaying odd fascinations with macabre topics as a toddler, and by 3 years old, he had an intense interest in knives.
Well, we watched that documentary. Tim, remember it?
Yeah.
His mom woke up and was surrounded by knives on the bed. He laid out knives all around her.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what I was getting there. It was his, what was it, youngest sister, Julia Cowell, recalled awakening from a nap to find herself often surrounded by knives from the kitchen.
At 3 years old?
And it's like, wow, I'd be afraid to take a nap at that point if I was her,
Yeah, I think I'd put him in a cage and chain him up.
I'm taking a nap. You go to your kennel now.
Right. How do you wake up surrounded by knives?
Hell no. It ain't happening.
Also, we're trying something new, so let us know if you can hear Chris better tonight with us.
Oh, yeah, we are. having him share a mic right now, we know what the issue is, and we're looking into some better sound
They're
technology.
looking into technology. Don't believe this. They actually gave me a mic that doesn't work because
Yeah.
they just don't want to hear me.
I did too. When I ordered the mic, I called the company and I said, "Listen, I don't want to hear this fucking guy talk."
Yeah, I don't care if there's anything inside of it. Just make it look like a mic.
Yeah, make it look like a mic and make him feel wanted. Make it light up different colors too. So, anyways, so he became a frequent target, bullying. Later, however, his intelligence and social skills enabled him to enjoy a successful college career.
But he was also a peeper. He would peep into people's windows in college.
Would he really?
Yeah. So
Oh,
according
gosh.
to the research that I have in front of me, his intelligence made him do really well, but socially he had a really hard time making friends. When he became a teenager and was in college, his behavior started to deteriorate. He enjoyed peeping in people's windows, and he often stole things he wanted without guilt.
Oh, well, yeah, you don't have guilt at that point. Kind of goes back to what we always talk about if they have a, conscious or not.
Yeah, right. Well, I
At
don't
that point.
think he ever had one.
No.
But
I think he was born without one.
But in college, like you were saying, he had a successful college time. He did end up meeting somebody.
Now, I don't know what he went to college for, what he studied. I don't remember offhand.
Well, that was before before law school, because he jumped into law school at one point, but he was in college in Washington and he transferred.
Okay. Well, if
It
you
was law
find it,
school.
was it law school from the beginning or?
So
We've had that happen with a few of these killers where they wanted to get into police or law, which is crazy to me.
he originally enrolled in the University of Puget. Puget?
Yeah,
Puget?
it sounds about right.
Whatever.
University of P.
P Sound. He spent 1 year there before transferring to the University of Washington to study Chinese, and then he dropped out and re-enrolled for a psychology major, and then moved to law school.
Gotcha.
It kind of makes you wonder, though, as you mentioned, like, are these people just do they actually? Maybe they're pretty intelligent people. Maybe they're just interested in trying to figure out what's wrong with them.
Yeah.
Maybe he knows, hey, there's something wrong with me.
Well, who was that? Kemper, his IQ was it like 134 or something? It was something ridiculous. Yeah.
Well, they also said there's a possibility that when he enrolled in college for psychology, which was around 1968, that he had learned that the woman he believed to be his sister was actually his mother at that time. So he was in college when he found out that was his mom.
Oh,
But
wow.
wouldn't you find that out when you live with her and move with her new husband?
You would think, but I for a very religious family there, his mom kind of did things a little differently, a little ass backwards, but seemed like she kind of hid things from him too. But, so, despite his apparent stability, he sexually assaulted and killed several young women in Washington, Oregon, Colorado, Utah, and Florida between the years of 1974 and 1978.
I have a list of the amount of people per state.
Oh gosh, we got to hear that.
All right. California had 1 victim who's still unidentified. Idaho had 2. 1 is still unidentified. Oregon 2. Both are still unidentified. Florida 3. Colorado 3. Utah 8. And winner chicken dinner, Washington with 11.
Wow, so Washington was kind of his hot state there. So as we were saying before, Bundy did exhibit disturbing behavior at an early age, and that's what we were talking about with the sister Julia, that she recalled awakening, several times from naps with knives surrounded around her from the kitchen, which, okay then. Yeah, at that point, like you said, it's like, how do you even become comfortable,
After that, you feed the kid a steak. You better he's cutting it with a spoon.
So what, like you were saying, he graduated from high school in 1965. He attended the University of P for 1 year before transferring to the University of Washington to actually study Chinese.
Yeah, that's what I was mentioning. And then he switched later on down the road to law school
Yeah.
for that.
He became romantically involved with a UW classmate, Diane Edwards. And he described Edwards as the only woman that he ever really loved. So I'm assuming he never did anything to her or hurt her.
Don't like, if I'm wrong, I believe he actually ended up having a child with this woman. There's a book that she wrote about him.
Yes, so there's Bundy biographies by several people, but most commonly Stephanie Brooks is where that Bundy described that was the only woman that he ever really loved. So in early 1968, Bundy did drop out of college. As you were saying, he worked a series of minimum wage jobs. He also volunteered at the Seattle office of Nelson Rockefeller's presidential campaign.
Oh, wow.
And became Arthur Fletcher's driver and bodyguard during Fletcher's campaign for the lieutenant governor of Washington state. Edwards graduated in the spring of 1968. That's the girl that he was with, and left Washington for San Francisco. Bundy visited her later that year, and after he earned a scholarship to study Chinese at the Stanford University that summer. In August, Bundy attended the 1968 Republican National Convention in Miami. Shortly thereafter, Edwards ended their relationship and returned to her family home in California.
Now, here's an interesting fact about he actually fell in love with her at college and said that she was the pretty girl and had everything that he desired: class, wealth, intelligence. After she ended the relationship, it came to light that pretty much all of the victims resembled her in one way or another. The dark hair, the figure, the shape, all the things that he had.
They did all look relatively
similar. I'll have to look up a picture of her to see. Okay. So, she ended the relationship and, sorry. So he was frustrated by what she described as Bundy's immaturity and lack of ambition is what she didn't like about him, which I guess is the reason why she split up with him, one of them.
But he's going to law school.
But he had dropped out then.
That's true.
He had dropped out. So Lewis would later pinpoint this crisis as probably the pivotal time in his development. Devastated by the breakup, Bundy traveled to Colorado and then farther east, visiting relatives in Arkansas and Philadelphia and enrolling for one of the semesters at Temple University. During his studies, he frequently visited New York City, where he was drawn to pornography. He immersed himself in violent pornography literature while nursing his wounds from the breakup. It was also at that time Rule believed that Bundy discovered his true percentage in Vermont. So, I mean, we've all gone through bad breakups in life, but I personally never took on violent pornography.
Yeah, this one was really nasty. Let's watch some violent.
Yeah. Instead of regular porn, let's watch the rough shit. So Bundy returned to Washington in the fall of 1969 when he met Elizabeth Kay, because I won't butcher that name, identified in Bundy's literature.
That Klepfer?
Yeah.
Yeah, Klepfer.
I think it's Klepfer.
So she was a single mother from Utah who worked as a secretary at the UW School of Medicine. The relationship would continue well past his initial incarceration in Utah in 1976 that we'll get to. Bundy became a father figure to Klepfer's daughter, Molly, who was 3 years old. And when they started dating, she was 3. He remained in her life until she was 10. So they were together for quite some time. What, 8 years?
Yeah.
I mean, so that's pretty good there.
6 years.
6 years.
6 years.
Till he
Wow.
moved to Utah.
Well, my IQ is not, Kemper's level here. Anyways, that's embarrassing.
Need a little more W in you.
Yeah, I need a little more W. So he remained in her life until she was 10, as I stated. And after he had been arrested as an adult, Molly wrote of incidents beginning at the age of 7 in which Bundy was abusive or sexually inappropriate with her. Now that's sick. That's fucked up. Her accounts include Bundy hitting her in the face, knocking her down, putting her at risk of drowning, incident exposure, and sexual touching discussed or disguised as accidents or games. Which is crazy because we haven't really covered it but yet in anybody, but I've heard like stories, and you hear stories about younger people that have been sexually molested and stuff. And a lot of times I've heard people put it as it's a game.
Right.
They try to tell the younger person.
Even, you remember Gacy, everybody has like some way of trying to make sense out of what they're doing for their victim.
Yeah.
Trying to coax them into, well, it's perfectly fine. It's just a magic trick. Well, it's perfectly fine. We're just playing a game.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Gacy did say that all the time.
His last trick and the rope trick.
Yeah, and the handcuffs and stuff. So, in mid-1970, Bundy now focused on his goal-oriented and re-enrolled at the University of Washington, this time as a psychological major. Psychology. Wow, Dubby. Gotta go back to it. He became an honorable student as well as a well-regarded by his professors, which is not really shocking because we've heard that before too, where they're a great student in school, well-liked, great grades. In 1971, he took a job as Seattle's Suicide Hotline Crisis Center. Oh God, out of all jobs.
He actually, so one of the Seattle police officers, Ann Roll, who had met Bundy around that time, said that there was nothing that gave off red flags about this guy.
Which we've heard that before too,
She said he was kind, charismatic, and compassionate.
Yeah.
It's that mask right there.
Yeah.
That mask again.
Yeah. So he started working at the Suicide Hotline Crisis Center. He met and worked alongside Rule, a former Seattle police officer and an aspiring crime writer who would later write one of the Bundy biographies, which is titled The Stranger Beside Me. That'd be a pretty good one to read.
It's really good.
I wouldn't mind checking that one out.
It's on Kindle for free right now.
Kindle. Never used it.
Oh, I use it all the time.
It's still a thing.
Is it still a thing? That's what the reading people use.
That's what I use. I read 78 books last year.
Okay, well, we're not sponsored by Kindle, but go to Kindle.
It's part of Amazon. So if we have Amazon, we can proudly plug them.
Yes, Amazon. Plug them.
Yeah.
Just plug them.
Use them for everything. It's a rare day when I don't have an Amazon package show up on my doorstep.
Right. So as you were saying, Rule saw nothing disturbing in Bundy's personality at that time. She described him as a kind, empathetic, like you were saying. So then after graduating University, Washington, 1972, Bundy joined Governor Daniel Evans' re-election campaign. I notice a trend here. He's getting into a lot of the political stuff, kind of like, Gacy. Gacy got into a lot of the political stuff too, campaigns and different things like that.
Well, heavily involved, being heavily involved in your community and that kind of thing. I mean, there's a lot of people, same thing. They didn't believe that this guy was what he was.
Yeah.
Down the road, they're like, no way.
Yeah.
There's no way.
For fuck's sake. Yeah, right. But no, it's true. Because look at Gacy, nobody thought. And Bundy was a very attractive guy. So a lot of these women that he would go up to, they wouldn't suspect. And at that time frame, it wasn't like it is now. We've talked about this before, where he goes up and will later get there and says, "Hey, can you help me with this or that?" Blah, blah, blah. These women were like, "Yeah, sure. No problem."
Oh yeah, he's very charismatic.
Yeah.
He didn't have like those reservations. He wasn't shy. He wasn't unusual to speak to.
Yeah.
He'd make eye contact with you. Seemed like a normal guy.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what a lot of these, women sadly thought.
Yeah.
So anyways, he joined Evans in his reelection campaign, posing as a college student. He shadowed him and recorded his stump speeches for analysts.
Wasn't he in college at that time, though?
That was after he graduated. After he graduated in 1972 was when he joined Daniels' governor, his reelection campaign.
Gray brain cells today.
That's okay. Evans appointed Bundy to the Seattle Crime Prevention Advisory Committee. So he's really moving up the chain. He's moving up quick, After Evans was reelected, Bundy was hired as an assistant to Ross Davis, chairman of the Washington State Republican Party. Davis thought well of Bundy and described him as a smart, aggressive, and a behavior in the system. In early 1973, despite his LSAT scores, Bundy was accepted in the law schools of UPS and the University of Utah on the strength of letter recommendations from Evans, Davis, and several University of Washington psychology professors. So really, he didn't even score as far as, SAT scores. They weren't even that good. He ultimately got in because of the those guys recommending him.
It was because of his involvement with
who
he was involved with.
Yeah, so he kind of knew what he was doing in a way. He was smart there, manipulative, and so
he's like, if I'm shitty at taking a test, eventually like somebody will back me.
Yeah, right. I'm going to get in good with these guys right now.
Well, it worked. Hey,
it did. Good. In his favor, it did. So moving ahead a little bit, a year, January 1974, Bundy abruptly broke off all contact with, Edwards. That was his ex. Her phone calls, letters were unreturned. When she finally reached him by phone a month later, she demanded to know why he had unalliterally ended their relationship without explanation. In a flat, calm voice, he replied, "Diane, I have no idea what you mean," and hung up. What? She's asking for an explanation here because you pretty much ghosted her and just abruptly ended shit.
If that's not closure, I don't know what is.
Yeah, right. Diane, I have no idea what you mean. Click.
I should have used that one in the past. Man, I got out of so many shitty long conversations.
I have no idea what you mean. Click.
I have no idea what you mean.
She never heard from him again. Bundy later explained, "I just wanted to prove to myself that I could have married her." Like, what? You wanted to prove to yourself that you could have married her, but you abruptly just broke things off and ghosted her. How are you proving to yourself that you could have married her? That's what's mind-boggling to me.
Just
like
hit a point where he's like, "Yeah, I got you."
Yeah, it's like, okay. But later she concluded in a retrospect that Ted's high power courtship in the latter part of 1973 had been deliberately planned, that he had waited all those years to be in the position of where he could make her fall in love with him so that he could drop her, reject her as she had rejected him.
Ooh.
So it was a mind game to this fucking guy. Like, what?
Ew.
Yeah.
That's just giant red flag. Go away.
Yeah. If I had a red flag thing to go across the screen, I'd flash it right now.
I'm going to get a red flag and a green flag and I'll bring them.
Yeah.
It's going to be red all the time.
So then after that, Bundy had begun skipping classes at the law school, which is not a good idea when you're in law school out of all, majors. by April, he had stopped attending entirely as young women began to disappear in the Pacific Northwest.
And I have, if you don't mind, I have a little thing that I can read here that a little bit more some of the time for that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Bundy was definitely one of the most depraved killers in the last century. He would often go back to the bodies after he had to dispose of them and perform various sexual acts with them, kind of like the killing fields that we talked about, where they
Or
would.
was it Ed Kemper that
And Ed
he
Kemp.
didn't he assist
Yes.
in locating or trying to get them to
Yeah.
understand and actually help collar that guy?
Yes, Kemper got all excited about it and rode around with him in that vehicle later on and was like, well, you mind if we stop up here for lunch?
Yeah.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Yep.
It was it's a lot. His first known attack actually wasn't a murder. It was on an 18-year-old Karen Sparks, a student and a dancer at the University of Washington. Bundy broke into her apartment and bludgeoned her unconscious with a metal rod from her bed frame before sexually assaulting her with the same object. The assault left her in a 10-day coma with permanent disabilities.
Holy cow. Wow.
Yeah.
That's the first one they know of, obviously,
Mhm.
right? Because I mean, let's be honest. I mean, even like the federal crime reports and things that the FBI shoots out, like that's all based on information. The statistics are based
Well, that
on murders that they catch,
so
right?
Yeah.
So who knows what this guy did earlier
Before
in his
that.
life,
So
or
before later down the road, before his execution, he actually talked about the timeline with one of the detectives and told him, "Yeah, here I'm going to tell you all this." His first victim, there's actually a picture of her and him walking down what looks like an aisle for either a wedding or some kind of
prom or something, or who
yeah, some
knows
kind of
what.
event. Very pretty girl,
Mm-hmm.
very kind of weird, but his first official confirmed kill was Linda Ann Healy, who is another University of Washington student.
Oh, okay.
He did that 1 month after assaulting Karen Sparks. Bundy broke into Healy's apartment in the early morning, knocked her unconscious, then clothed her body and carried her out to his car. She was never seen again, but part of her skull was discovered years later at one of the locations where Bundy would dump the bodies.
That's crazy. But yeah, it's true. Like Chris said, who knows what he had done before that we're not aware of, and that's like with a lot of these killers and stuff too. What happened, that stuff that we're not aware of or that law enforcement never discovered or
Yeah,
they never told.
They'll tell you about the stuff they're proud of personally, but
Yeah.
they may leave out all sorts of information about things that they're not proud of,
Yeah.
and you'll never know.
Yeah, it's true.
Unless you locate bodies. In this case, like people thought there were hundreds of extra like victims and things. They said, "Oh, there could be 100 or hundreds or something like that." You travel across the United States, like there's a lot of people that obviously are like, "Yeah, my daughter went missing, my son went missing," and you're probably going to catch a lot of blame for that too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. So as you were saying, his so kind of jumping into his first murders a little bit here. I'll continue on a little bit here. So there's no conscious as to when or where Bundy began killing, women, kind of like you were just saying. We don't know what happened
We just
beforehand.
know around 1974 experiences started when he dropped out of college, started
Yeah.
doing other things.
So he told different stories to different people and refused to divulge the specifics of his earliest crimes, even as he confessed in graphic detail to dozens of later murders in the days preceding his, execution. He told Nelson that he attempted his first kidnapping in Ocean City, New Jersey in 1969, but did not kill anyone until sometime in 1971 in Seattle. He told psychologist Art Norman that he killed 2 women in Atlantic City while visiting family in Philadelphia in 1969. And he hinted to homicide detective Robert Keppel that he committed a murder in Seattle in 1972 and another murder in 1973 that involved a hitchhiker near Tumwater.
That's the one that we were talking about but it's actually confirmed it was 1974 that he did that one, but they're still trying to find out who it is. As of November 21st, 2024, they're still trying to identify those remains.
Really?
Mhm.
See, I don't even know how much you can really identify at that point, besides, I guess, like teeth,
Right.
The powder.
right? Powder or
Yeah.
whatever. Bones probably still going to be there, but so, and yeah, murder in Seattle, and another one in 1973. Okay, yeah. But he refused to elaborate. Ruhl and Keppel both believed that he might have started killing as a teenager. Bundy's earliest documented homicides were committed in 1974 when he was 27, by his own admission. He had by then mastered the necessary skills in the era before DNA profiling to leave minimal incriminating forensic evidence at the crime scenes. Then he starts 1974 here in Washington, Oregon, is when his murder spree really starts to take off. And I mean, his murder spree is relatively like back to back to back. I mean, he's just, and once he gets comfortable, it's crazy because he starts going out in daylight and doing this shit.
Oh, there's like 2 in a day.
Yeah,
So-
yeah.
You mentioned that he said that he did one in 1961.
Yes.
They classify as possible because it's not officially confirmed. But that would have been 8-year-old Anne Marie Burr. She vanished from her home in Tacoma when Bundy was 14. Her house was on Bundy's newspaper delivery route. The victim's father was certain that he saw Bundy in a ditch at a construction site at the nearby Upper Puget Sound campus.
8-year-old.
8 years old. So that would be his youngest victim if it is confirmed that he did kill her.
Jeez. Well, I'm sure that he did, unfortunately. Jeez, oh man, 8. I didn't realize that.
I was looking it up because I wanted to see the youngest, like what the age range was.
Well, there certainly was a 12-year-old that vanished from a junior high.
Mhm.
Yeah, I remember the 12-year-old. Yeah.
Age range is 18 to 25. Not 18, 8 to 25.
8 to 25. Fucking insane. So his murder spree began shortly after midnight, January 4th, 1974, around the time that he ended his relationship, Edwards. I don't know what you're talking about, click. He entered the basement apartment of an 18-year-old Karen Sparks that we were talking about a few minutes ago. She was a dancer and a student at the University of Washington in Seattle's University District. After bludgeoning Sparks with a metal rod from her bed frame, he sexually assaulted her with the same rod.
And left her in a 10-day coma with permanent.
Yeah, causing extensive internal injuries and rupturing her bladder. Although she survived, she was left with permanent brain damage, like you just stated, with significant loss of her vision and hearing. In the early mornings of February 1st, Bundy broke into the basement room of 21-year-old Linda Healy, an undergraduate who broadcasts morning radio weather reports for Skiers. Skiers. Yeah, we'll go with that. That sounds better. He beat her unconscious, dressed her in blue jeans, a white blouse, and boots, and carried her away. He later stated that he drove her to a secluded area where he raped and murdered her before dumping her body.
That was the one where they found only her skull.
Yeah, that's I don't get why he dressed her in like street clothes.
Because she was probably naked or in just her bra and underwear. He broke into her apartment when she was sleeping.
But it seems like he put a little bit of thought into picking this outfit out. That's what's crazy to me, because he's going through a room. It's not like he's randomly just going to see blue jeans, a white blouse, and boots sitting there and go, it's a complete outfit. Let's put that shit on.
Or he just pulled him out of the door and just see what he found.
He just picked up whatever she was wearing.
You often wonder, though, too, because it's like he picked together like a regular outfit, you know?
But like
maybe his mom taught him to match. I don't know. Maybe that's all I can think of.
And the idea of actually dressing her to begin with, like, all right, well, it's the difference between I'm carrying around this lifeless body that's naked and a lifeless body that's dressed. Like, what do you think? Like, does it really improve the situation that it's closed?
No.
You know, like, oh yeah, well, she's got clothes on. She's not.
Unless he thought in case he got stopped or caught, he could say, "Oh yeah, she had too much to drink.
Or
We
she's
were out,
sleeping
or
or
she's
whatever."
Well,
sleeping."
she was sleeping, and he knocked her unconscious before he killed her.
Well,
She wasn't
yeah,
in bed
she
at
was
that
sleeping
time.
before that.
So
Right.
he can just say, "Oh, she's sleeping. She has a really bad headache, or she's sick."
Yeah, yeah. So
Well, if she's naked, you just say she's sleeping. She just likes to sleep with her clothes on.
yeah, she sleeps naked. I don't know.
Anyway, we just, but I know it's
Tequila.
not funny.
Tequila makes her clothes fall off. I don't know.
Yeah, like
Name that song and you get a car decal.
if he just
Anyways, don't say it. During the first half of 1974, female college students disappeared at the rate of about one per month. On March 12th, Donna Gail Manson, oh God, was she related to Charles? A 19-year-old student at Evergreen State College in Olympia, which was about 60 miles southwest of Seattle. Yeah, I'm good with my maps. What can I say? Or it could be typed out for me too. I don't know. Left her dormitory to attend a jazz concert on campus, but never arrived. Bundy claimed that he burned Manson's skull in his girlfriend's fireplace.
So there's conflicting reports on that, because he said that he left her body. According to him, he took her and left her body at Taylor Mountain, but her body was never found. So either A, he burned her and then put her ashes there, or B, he's lying about both of them.
He could be, because if you remember before, I stated that he told different stories to different people.
Mm-hmm.
He never kept his stories the same. So we don't know. He could have never told the truth to anybody, and he was just bullshitting on a lot of these too.
Right.
Which is crazy. The guy was, pathological liar. So down to the last ash in a fit, paranoia and cleanliness. On April 17th, 18-year-old Suzanne Elaine Rancourt disappeared while on her way to her dorm room after an evening advisors meeting at Central Washington State College in Ellensburg, about 110 miles southeast of Seattle. 2 female Central Washington students later came forward to report encounters, one of the night of Rancourt's disappearance and the other 3 nights earlier with a man wearing a sling. So we obviously know who that is, because he had a tendency to put his arm in a sling and fake all this. Hey, can you help me with this? My arm.
Oh yeah, he always acted like he was injured.
Yeah,
Yeah.
One girl on the beach, he said, I need help lifting like my surfboard on top of my car type thing. Can you go back to my house and help me?
Because he was.
True. So Lackadaisy actually made a comment, and for some reason it's not showing up on that end. With dressing that girl like that, Lackadaisy said maybe dressing her like his first love.
Oh.
It's true. Could be.
All of his victims did have some kind of characteristic and trait that matched his first love.
Edwards, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's true. That's a good point.
Thank you for that, Lackadaisy. We appreciate it.
So anyway, oh yeah. So wearing his arm in a sling, and it was asking to help carry loads of books to his brown or tan Volkswagen Beetle. And we know he's notorious, or was famous for that Beetle. It's in the museum.
We have a picture of the Beetle, and I'll post it later tonight.
On May 6th, Roberta Parks, age 22, left her dormitory at Oregon State University to have a coffee with her friends at the Memorial Union, but she never arrived. And he claimed, at least this time to this person, claimed that he spotted Parks in the cafeteria and persuaded her to go with him to a bar. After they got into his car, he tied and gagged Parks and drove her back to Washington to be killed, raping her twice on the way.
I actually have a little bit of a quote from Bundy about what he said about doing these with these victims, if you want me to read that real fast.
Yeah, that's fine.
The ultimate possession was, in fact, the taking of the life, Bundy said, and then the 3 brain cells functioning right now.
That was actually part of the quote.
The physical possession of the remains. Murder is not just a crime of lust or violence. It becomes possession. They are part of you. The victim becomes a part of you, and you are forever one. And the grounds where you kill them or leave them becomes sacred to you, and you will always be drawn back to them.
Wow. So we're going to jump ahead a little bit, and I'll turn it over because we don't have time to cover everybody. There's like 250, if not more,
There's over 30 known ones that we could actually say. But if we did that, there's going to be a 5-episode thing.
This would be ridiculous and it would be nuts. So anyways, Jackie, if you want to take over and continue us. So he kind of moves in Idaho, Utah, Colorado.
Yeah. So I'm actually going to skip a little bit of it and head over to the first time he gets arrested. Because if I keep covering all of the Washington and that, it's going to be a long night.
Yeah, that's fine.
So on August 16th, 1975, Bundy was arrested by Utah Highway Patrol Officer Bob Hayward in Granger, which is another Salt Lake City suburb. Hayward said that Bundy was cruising a residential area in his Beetle during the pre-dawn hours and was fleeing at a high rate of speed when he saw the patrol car. So obviously he knew, hey, like this shouldn't be happening. I'm going to pull you over.
Yeah.
He noticed that the passenger seat had been removed and placed on the rear seats. When he searched the car, he found a ski mask, a second mask fashioned from pantyhose, a crowbar, handcuffs, trash bags, a coil of rope, an ice pick, and other items initially assumed to be burglary tools. Bundy later explained that the ski mask was for skiing, and he had found the handcuffs in a dumpster, and the rest were common household items. Except the detective remembered a similar suspect and car description from a kidnapping in November of 1974 that matched Bundy.
Yeah, I actually like to go skiing, but when I go skiing, I wear a ski mask and I wear a pantyhose, and I typically do it handcuffed. And when in lieu of
I have the rope on myself.
Yeah, in lieu of using ski poles, I use a crowbar actually to push myself so I don't.
Household.
Could you see that going down a hill?
Household items. Household items. Why do you have pantyhose?
It's not exactly fucking Windex.
I like to wear them.
I used to. It's like the old thing when we were growing up. I remember my dad used to clean windows with what was it, a newspaper, and the ink always used to bleed, but that's what they thought was the best way. Well, instead of using a newspaper officer, I used a pantyhose to absorb the Windex. That's what I used it
if there
for.
was stuff stuck to it like flies, I just used a crowbar to tip them off.
Use a crowbar.
Now, when
I can't. Dubby's working.
So the detective remembered that description from the November 1974 kidnapping. Bundy's name from, how did we say that last name? The Kloepfer.
Klepper.
Phone call a month later. In search of Bundy's apartment, they found a guide to Colorado ski resorts and a check mark next to the Wildwood Inn, as well as a brochure that advertised the Viewmont High School play in Bountfort, where one of his victims, which is going to be from November 8th, 1974, Deborah Jean Kent, who was 17, vanished after leaving a school play in Bountfort, Utah. According to Bundy, her body was left near Fairview, 100 miles south of Bountiful. Only a patella bone was found and has never been formally identified as belonging to her.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm going to just read over some of these, but not all of the victims because it's a lot, obviously.
Okay.
And his MO was strangulation. He would decapitate some of them, and some of it is pretty violent.
Some of it reminded me, and they explained it in there, almost like, what was it? Bound, torture, kill, like BTK. It was kind of, and I don't remember if BTK was, I think he was kind of infatuated in a way with Bundy was one of them. I think he was trying to be like, if I remember
trying to
correctly.
mimic.
Yeah, mimic him. So yeah, I definitely see the in a way, certain ways there I see the same.
Police did not have sufficient evidence at that time to detain Bundy, so he was released of his own recognizance. Bundy later said that if searchers had done better, they would have seen the hidden collection of Polaroid photographs of his victims, which he destroyed after he was released the first time. So he was hiding. He took pictures, just like who was that? Dahmer.
Oh yeah,
Mm.
That.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them will have artifacts or idols or things they keep from their victims.
Yeah, like BTK had that special hidey hole, which was a crawl space.
Yes.
And then he tried to destroy everything after he started getting caught.
Right.
And then he asked, I never forget when he called and asked, could you guys track something if a floppy disk was sent to you?
No, absolutely not.
No, absolutely
yes,
not.
we can.
Is there any way to trace that?
Is there any way?
Like, be honest, because I'll be pissed if you're lying.
I'll be pissed if you. I'm sending you a 3.5-inch floppy disk right now as we speak.
Salt Lake City police placed Bundy on a 24-hour surveillance, and Thompson flew to Seattle with two other detectives to interview Miss K. I'm just going to say Miss K. She told them that in the year prior to Bundy's move to Utah, she discovered objects that she couldn't understand in the house or in his apartment as well. These included crutches, a bag of plaster of Paris that he admitted stealing from a medical supply house, and a meat cleaver that was never used for cooking.
How do you have a meat cleaver and you never use it for cooking?
He did decapitate a few of his victims.
Oh. Well, that's not considered cooking, so
No.
I guess he wasn't lying there.
Additional objects also included surgical gloves, an oriental knife with a wooden case that he kept in his glove compartment, and a sack of women's clothing.
For
It
who?
does not say.
Okay.
Bundy was actually in debt perpetually. He was
Oh, he
very
had debt
broke.
collectors contacting him?
Very broke. Miss K suspected that everything that he had, that almost everything of significant value that he possessed, he had stolen. When she confronted him over a new TV and stereo, he warned her, "If you tell anyone, I'll break your fucking neck."
Oh. Yeah, that
Mhm.
doesn't seem like a nice guy. That might be a red flag.
She also said that Bundy would become upset if she ever talked about cutting her hair, and always wanted it parted in the middle and straight down the long and down her back.
I wonder if that was something to do with his first love.
She says she often found him under the covers with a flashlight examining her body. He kept a lug wrench taped halfway up the handle in the trunk of her car, which was also another beetle, and he would often borrow it for protection.
Some of the Beetle, anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, why don't you drive some car that isn't shitty?
Well, no.
Where the motor's in the front, not in the trunk.
The fact that they do, they're looking out for this car, and you're still driving around. Just if you're into stealing shit, and you like nice stuff, steal somebody's car that isn't,
Yeah. Yeah, right.
Oh, there were a lot of Beetles back then. So
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
My dad had a Beetle.
Well, it was also the
when he
hippie
was
time,
growing
remember?
up.
The time of love and everything.
Yeah, my dad had an orange one. He said he loved that car. It was a good car. It lasted him for
If
a
I
while,
ever
but
got one, I want a classic one. I don't want the newer modern.
yeah, hopefully you guys never get one that is tan. That'd be great. I'll
Just-
move.
We'll just torment you.
I'll move real quick. Anyways.
In September, Bundy sold his Volkswagen Beetle to a Midvale teenager. Utah police immediately impounded that vehicle, and FBI technicians dismantled and searched it. Hairs were discovered matching samples obtained from one of his victims' bodies. Later, they also identified hair strands microscopically indistinguishable from those of two other victims, Smith and DeRonge. FBI specialist Robert Neal concluded that the presence of hair strands in one car matched three different victims who had never met one another, and would be a
That's part of the writing.
How the heck do you say
That's
that
all right.
word?
Coincidence?
Coincidence of mind-boggling rarity.
Well,
I have 3 brain cells working today, okay?
that's
Anyways, carry on. Chris will be in the garage tonight, I'm sure, at his house. Sleeping with his bike.
That can keep him warm tonight.
Yep.
In October 2nd, detectives put Bundy into a lineup. One of the victims, DeRonch, who was actually one of the survivors of the attacks that he did, was able to identify him as Officer Roseland because he posed as a police officer.
Yeah, and she picked him out of a lineup,
Yeah, I remember that.
like, immediately. As soon as he walked into the room, she's like, "Yep, that's him."
Yeah.
A few witnesses also recognized him as the stranger at the Viewmont High School auditorium. There was insufficient evidence to link him to Kent, whose body had not yet been found, but more than enough evidence to charge him with aggravated kidnapping and attempted criminal assault in the DeRonch case. Bundy denied knowing her, but had no alibi and was freed on a $15,000 bail paid by his parents. He spent most of that time in between indictment and trial in Seattle, living in Miss Kay's house. Seattle police had insufficient evidence to charge him with some of the murders on the Pacific Northwest, but kept him under close surveillance. When Ted and I stepped out on the porch to go somewhere, Miss Kay said, so many unmarked police cars started up that sounded like the beginning of the Indy 500. Right? It's a lot of police cars to do that.
Yeah.
Yes.
In November, the 3 principal Bundy investigators, Jerry Thompson from Utah, Robert Keppel from Washington, and Michael Fisher from Colorado, met in Aspen, Colorado, and exchanged information with 30 detectives and prosecutors from 5 states. While officials left the meeting, later referred to as the Aspen Summit, convinced that Bundy was the murderer they sought, they agreed that more hard evidence would be needed in order to charge him. In 1976, he stood trial for the DeRonch kidnapping. On the advice of his attorney, he waived his rights to a jury due to the negative publicity. In June, he was sentenced to 1 to 15 years in Utah State Prison. In October, he was found hiding in bushes in the prison yard carrying an escape kit. That was road maps, airline schedules, and a social security card. He spent several weeks in solitary confinement. Later, he was moved and charged with Campbell's murder. After a period of resistance, he waived extradition proceedings and was transferred to Aspen in January of 77. That's when he escaped, wasn't it?
In 77, he tried to escape. I mean, there was a couple escapes. There was one that was short-lived, and then there was one where he actually escaped and actually ran to Tallahassee.
Yeah.
But the initial one, I think, it's funny, the actual impact from Ted Bundy on, like, law enforcement in general, um, you know, not only sparked a national push for victim advocacy and heightened awareness about dangers of predatory violence and things like that against women, but he also did quite a bit of favors for the correctional system, exposing, you know, uh, possible holes in which these guys could escape easily, and got them to button up these correctional facilities so that this crap couldn't happen again. Because one of them, I think he had a hole in his ceiling that he just climbed out of, and he climbed down into one of the officers' quarters and put on his clothes and walked right out the front door of the prison.
But
Jeez.
his first escape, though, he represented himself in Aspen for a preliminary hearing. And as he was offering to, oh my goodness gracious, my brain just stopped. As he was representing himself, he didn't have handcuffs, shackles, and he was in normal street clothing. So being able to do that, being despite with aggravated kidnapping and attempted criminal assault, he was able to escape, but was caught 6 days later. He
Well,
jumped out of the law library.
he was acting as his own attorney, so
Mhm.
he was granted access to the law library as he was able to act as his own attorney.
And they did
Which,
have police watching
Wow.
him, but he managed to trick them in order to turn his back so he could get out the window.
right, and then
Jeez.
same thing, like I was saying, like the stricter security protocols and things like that for inmate transport, detention facility. Obviously, there was a tighter control over inmates and access to legal materials, evidence, private meetings with attorneys. Um, particularly for those who represent themselves and that kind of situation. But so he did open their eyes to a great many things that were wrong with the system, and they said, "Oh well, yeah, maybe it's not a great idea that we just open up the library and just leave him in there by himself."
Leave him in there. Yeah, he's doing stuff in there he's not
So
supposed to be.
you
Yeah.
talked about that hole in the ceiling. His second escape attempt was December 30th, 1977. Bundy piled books on his bed and covered them with a blanket so it would look like he was sleeping. That hole in his ceiling was really small, so he purposely lost weight, like stopped eating, did whatever he could to fit it. He would
Wow.
climb in the ceiling every night before his escape attempt and crawl in the crawl space so he knew where he was going.
Jeez. Yeah,
He,
he knew what he was doing in a lot of different ways.
like you said, he landed in the chief jailer's apartment who happened to be out for the night, so he was able to steal his clothes and leave.
Okay.
So he escaped. He continued to commit additional murders while he was on the run. On February 15th in 1977, he was pulled over. 1 second. He was pulled over once again by a police. Checks on his vehicle showed Bundy's car was stolen. When Officer David Lee informed him he was under arrest, Bundy kicked him and ran. Officer Lee fired off 2 warning shots, then chased after him, tackling him. He subdued Bundy after a struggle and placed him in his car for transportation to jail. By the time Bundy went to trial for his crimes, the evidence was insurmountable for that.
Well, yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
Who kicks people?
Okay.
I don't know.
That's a word from Chris.
This seems weird. I don't know. You're gonna attack a police officer. Let's just kick him and run.
Yeah,
You know?
that's where did you try to kick him at?
I don't know. And then
Just
kick them.
yeah,
the
that's a
location
little
of the kick is not
unknown.
not shown.
Yeah, that's a little weird. I'm gonna run from this cop.
So-
Kick him.
Later after that, he does get on a flight to Chicago. He steals the car, broke down in the mountains on I-70. A passing motorist gave him a ride to Vail, which was 60 miles to the east, and there he caught a bus to Denver and boarded a flight to Chicago. Back in Glen Springs, the jail's skeleton crew did not discover the escape until noon on December 31st, more than 17 hours later.
Yeah, it's a day later.
Bundy was
Wow.
already in Chicago and committed his first murder there.
Damn.
Mhm. From Chicago, Bundy traveled by train to Ann Arbor, Michigan, where he was present in a local tavern on January 2nd. 5 days later, he stole another car and drove south to Atlanta, where he boarded a bus to Florida. Excuse me. On January 8th, he stayed for one night in a hotel, renting a room under the alias Chris Hagen at a boarding house near the Florida State University campus. Bundy later said that he initially resolved to find legitimate employment and refrain from further criminal activity, knowing he would probably remain free and undetected in Florida indefinitely as long as he did not attract the attention of police. But his lone job application at a construction site had to be abandoned when he was asked to produce identification.
Yeah. Can we see some identification? I'm out of here. You know.
In the early hours of January 15th, Bundy enters into Tallahassee FSU Chi Omega sorority. Now, this one is one of the bigger known murders because it's a few in one. Beginning
Okay.
about 2:45 a.m., he bludgeoned Margaret Elizabeth Bowman, who was 21, with a piece of oak firewood as she slept, then garroted her with a nylon stocking. What is that?
Garroted? The only thing I can think of is he
Joker.
choked her
Okay.
with it, probably
He
gagged her with it.
He then entered the bedroom of 20-year-old Lisa Jeanette Levy and beat her unconscious, strangled her, tore one of her nipples.
What?
Bit.
Wait, we gotta stop the nipple train here. How? And I don't expect anybody to know this. How the fuck do you tear a nipple?
I don't know the pounds of pressure it takes, but you can tear one pretty easily, I guess.
That'd be shitty.
It would hurt.
Carry on. The nipple train can move forward. Wow.
Tore her nipple and then bit deeply into her left butt cheek enough to leave teeth imprints, and sexually assaulted her with a hair mist bottle. In an adjoining bedroom, he attacked Kathy Kleiner, age 21, breaking her jaw and deeply lacerating her shoulder, as well as 21-year-old Karen Chandler, who suffered a concussion, broken jaw, loss of teeth, and crushed finger. Chandler and Kleiner survived the attack. Kleiner attributed the survivor to automobile headlights illuminating the interior of the room and frightening away Bundy. So that's 5 victims.
You remember Garrett? You remember the guy that wanted to be called the Garrote Phantom?
Oh, Bundy.
Oh, yeah.
BPJ.
The Garrote Phantom. This all goes back to the violent pornography.
It does.
I'm telling you, it really does. I mean, I'm not trying to be funny with it, but it really does.
I don't know
mean,
that you can blame the pornography.
Well, no,
maybe give you ideas, I guess.
Correct. Yeah, you can't fully blame it, but biting the butt cheek so hard and tearing the nipple, I mean.
Down the road, they ended up actually they took imprints of his teeth when he was incarcerated.
Mm-hmm. And used it to match up to the butt bite.
And used it
to the butt bite.
Butt bite.
Yeah, because I think he had a lot of wonky teeth.
Hashtag butt bite.
Tallahassee detectives determined that the 4 attacks, now this is where it's heartbreaking. The 4 attacks took place in 15 minutes, with nearly 30 witnesses who heard absolutely nothing.
How do you not hear anything?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what? Yeah, I don't. Okay.
After he left the sorority house, he unfortunately broke into another apartment of 21-year-old FSU student Cheryl Thomas, dislocating her shoulder and fracturing her jaw and skull in 5 places. She was left with permanent deafness in her left ear and equilibrium damage that ended her dancing career. On Thomas's bed, police found a semen stain and a pantyhose mask containing 2 hairs similar to Bundy's in class and characteristics.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Should have shaved his genitals.
Mm-hmm.
Gee, that's. Yeah. I mean, this guy was just. When he went on a spree, man, I mean, he just literally just went fucking ape shit. I mean, like, it's sad. I mean, it's true. It's the more comfortable he got, he just was like, well, I got away with that. I got away with this. And it's just like, boom, boom, boom.
Oh, yeah.
And these poor women that just went through it. I mean, I couldn't even imagine.
I think in many cases, especially even this one, like, they always say, oh, this guy, he wants to be caught or something like that. And maybe he wants notoriety for the things he's done. Maybe he's just, because maybe he's proud of it, or maybe, like you said, maybe he's just getting reckless,
Yeah.
He just gets to the point, like going back to the quote that Jackie read at the beginning of the show, after you kill 30 people, it's like, well, fucking it. If there's another one, you don't really.
Yeah, at that point.
Concerned with being concise.
Yeah.
Concise goes out the door.
Yeah. Yeah, at that point, like, yeah, that is a good point, too. At that point, he's just like, screw it, And I'm sure, and it becomes at a point, too, along the lines of what you're saying is, if he knows he's going to get caught, he's like, well, I'm already going to be screwed. Yeah. So what's it matter if I add more to it? I mean, it's sad. It's shame, but
thing. I think in his trial, I think you're about to touch on, but he only I think was found guilty of a couple murders.
Oh yeah.
He wasn't prosecuted. This wasn't like a 25 person indictment. This was like just a couple people. Now he got the death penalty twice. I think, but
Yeah, yeah.
but still, it wasn't a lot of them.
On February 12th, with insufficient cash to pay his overdue rent and growing suspicion, Bundy stole a car and fled Tallahassee, driving towards the Florida Panhandle. 3 days later, at 1 a.m., he was stopped by a Pensacola police officer near the state line of Alabama. After a once and warrants check showed his Volkswagen Beetle was stolen, he told him that he was under arrest. Bundy kicked kicked the officer's legs out from under him, and took off running. Again, there was a struggle. He tackled and subdued him and arrested him. They searched the vehicle. In there, they found 3 sets of IDs belonging to female FSU students, 21 stolen credit cards, and a stolen television set. They also found a pair of dark-rimmed, non-prescription glasses and a pair of plaid slacks, later identified as the skies worn by Richard Burton Fire Department in Jacksonville. As he was transported, his suspect to the jail, unaware that he was arrested, one of FBI's top most wanted fugitives, he said Bundy said, "I wish you had killed me."
Yeah, he wanted to try to take the easy way out after all that shit he did. Just kill me.
In May 1978, a Florida grand jury actually indicted Bundy on a charge of first-degree murder, and burglary for the Chi Omega killings and assaults. He stood trial in 1979 in the Florida Court for Dade County with Judge Edward C. The trial was covered by 250 reporters from 5 continents and was the first to be televised nationally in the United States.
Oh, wow, really? I didn't know that.
Despite the presence of 5 court-appointed attorneys, Bundy once again decided to defend himself because he thinks he's smart.
Yeah, all that law school that he finished, yeah.
Maybe they thought he put him in another library.
Yeah, maybe that's what it was, yeah.
From the beginning, he sabotaged the entire defense effort out of spite, distrust, and grandiose delusions, grandicular delusions, something delusions.
What are you reading?
Right there. Grandiose delusions.
Grandiose.
Thank you. This is why you're the smart one. Grandiose delusions. Nelson, which was one of the defense attorneys, I believe, later wrote Ted was facing murder charges with a possible death sentence, and all that mattered to him apparently was that he be in charge. So he wanted to run the show.
Yeah, at that point, it literally was, like you said, it was a show to him.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Eventually, and I'm just going to jump forward for time's sake because it's still a lot more. Eventually, he does end up being found guilty of those and sentenced to the death penalty. He gets sentenced to that on oh my goodness, I'm sorry. He does get found guilty, but to complicate things more, he gets married while he is on death row and has a child.
Oh, gosh. Of course. Conjugal visit, right? Oh, God.
Jesus.
I'm over here making noises and shit.
Well, similar to like Manson and that kind of situation. Like this guy had a lot of fans when he was in jail. I think due to the to televising all this stuff and his charismatic way of presenting himself, and like you said, in the grandiose fashion, he was trying to make this like seem like it was impressive as possible. And I think there were women that were taken by this, and he maintained or actually created a lot of relationships on the outside with people that, just from being himself. He was
I don't understand that, because we talked about that with Chris Watts too, is that he still has women sending him letters and nudes of them. And it's like, what could possibly possess you in your mind to think that this person is innocent?
This guy just killed 30 women.
Yes.
You're a woman.
That's what I'm like. Yeah. It's almost, I know it's sick to say, but it's almost like they get off on this shit, and it's like, why? What makes you think? I don't understand. Or maybe it's like the thrill of it for him. Like, well, yeah, I'm talking to him and we're sexually talking, and what are you trying to accomplish here? The guy's never going to get out.
Yeah.
He's going to die there. What are you trying to accomplish? That just blows my mind with that kind of shit, because we've heard that on more, instances than this.
So during the penalty phase of one of the trials that he was for, Anne Boone, I believe was her name. I know her last name is Boone. Had moved to Florida to be closer to Bundy and testified on him multiple times, saying that he was innocent and didn't do anything. During his character witness of her, he asked her to marry him. When she accepted, they were legally declared married right now. He took a law that was obscure and no one remembered, that as long as there was a judge present in the room, you are legally married if you accept.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Mhm.
Wow. He dug deep in the vault
Yeah.
for that. Wow.
On February,
It all goes back to the library.
on February 10th, 1980, Bundy was sentenced for a third time to the death penalty. As the sentence was announced, he reportedly stood and shouted, "Tell the jury they were wrong." This third death sentence would be the one ultimately carried out nearly 9 years later. Only Louise would appear before the court to beg for mercy.
God forbid they killed him a third time.
Right? On October 24th, 1981, Bundy's wife gave birth to a daughter, Rose Bundy. While conjugal visits were not allowed, it was known that inmates would pool their money to bribe a guard so that way one prisoner could have intimate time with their significant other.
Oh, I'm sure that happened. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, he tried to appeal his death sentence, but it didn't happen. In July 84, prison guards found 2 hacksaw blades hidden in Bundy's cell. Steel bar in one of the cell's windows had been sawed completely through at the top and bottom and glued back into place with a homemade soap-based adhesive. So he was trying to escape again.
Yeah, he was trying. He's hoping for, another hole in the ceiling.
We did speak about the Green River Killer briefly for a second. In October 84, Bundy contacted Capel, which was one of the officers, and offered to share his self-proclaimed expertise in serial killer psychology and the ongoing hunt in Washington for the Green River Killer, later identified as Gary Ridgway.
Yeah, I remember that.
So he helped figure that out.
Yeah, well, he's such a great fella,
In 1986, an execution date, which was March 1st, was set on the Chio mega conviction. That didn't happen on that day. Bundy ended up dying in January 24th, 1989. He was strapped into the electric chair. By 7:16 a.m., he was pronounced dead. His body was cremated and his ashes scattered over the Cascade Mountains in Washington. There was a ton of publicity around this. You can still see some of the shirts people had. There was "Burn Bundy Burn." There was people standing along the fence. I believe they said there was 36 people in there watching him die.
Wow.
No, yeah, I mean, and Florida doesn't play, he traveled across the United States, doing what he did, and it wasn't long after he showed up in Florida that he ended up, going to prison and getting cooked.
Yeah. Yeah.
And obviously people couldn't have been happier about it with all outside.
Yeah.
Nobody. It didn't seem like there's a whole lot of people protesting his death, although I assumed that there probably was.
Yeah.
I wasn't even alive then, so it's kind of hard to.
I was negative.
So there's 2 things here. I have his last words that were directed at his attorney and minister. Jim and Fred, homie, don't play that. That's great, David. David.
That would be some great last words.
So his were directed towards Jim and Fred. Jim and Fred, I'd like you to give my love to my family and friends. And a few hours prior to the execution, he was allowed to make 2 phone calls to his mother, during which he apologized to her, stating, "I'm so sorry. I've given you all such grief, but a part of me was hidden all the time." So, crazy story. I mean, this guy's been, one of the most craziest serial killers out there. One of them. I mean, just the killing spree when he went on it, like I've been stating this whole show, is just wild, because one a month he was doing, and then I feel like at one point he was even doing more than that. I mean, it's one a month that we know of,
Right.
but wild. And I can't even imagine what the victims went through, family members of the victims. It's just such a sad, sad story. All these college women that had their lives taken, and
Yeah, it's one thing if you're killing like transient people, but if you're transient yourself, this guy was a damn dangerous human being because you just hopping from state to state. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah.
That had he been more careful, I mean, it probably would have went a lot better for him.
Yeah.
Obviously, but.
Yeah. But, so yeah, this crazy, crazy story. Next week, I know, you guys had figured out who we're going to cover next week. So,
we're
go
going to
ahead
do
and
a local one, Anthony Sowell, and he was in the last few years. So we figured let's jump ahead and bring in more recent cases forward.
So a local one to us, Anthony Sowell, and pretty recent too. So that'll be a interesting one. It'll be next week, same time. Don't forget to always plug our social medias here. Follow us on TikTok and Facebook at Murder Show 66. And other than that, we hope everybody has a rest of their good weekend and a good week next week. Yeah, hopefully I don't get any cracked screens from any SQs this week. Chris didn't think I was going to mention it, but I did. I did. And he knows who he is out there. He's listening. He knows.
He's probably sitting there laughing right now.
Yeah, more than likely.
So, okay, well, that's an odd. David just randomly said, if you Google Ted Bundy's children, it goes to Married with Children, the show. So, thanks for that, you distribution god of all garbageable objects that fall into a round can with a circumference.
What about a dumpster, though?
Thank you. Yes. Thank you for you distribution god of dumpster fires. Anyways, we hope everybody has a good one. Enjoy yourself. Thank you for tuning in tonight on this episode, Ted Bundy here on the Murder Podcast Show. Other than that, we'll let Classroom Jackie take you out of here for the night.
Same crime time, same crime place.
Good night, everyone.
See ya.
Bye.